Chapter 4. Poppy was staring without appetite at a dinner tray of chicken nuggets and french fries when Dr. Franklin came in the room. The tests were over. The CAT scan had been alright, if claustrophobic, but the ERCP had been awful. Poppy could still feel the ghost of the tube in her throat every time she swallowed. You're leaving all this great hospital food, Dr. Franklin said with gentle humour. Poppy managed a smile for him. He went on talking about innocuous things. He didn't say anything about the test results, and Poppy had no idea when they were supposed to come in. She was suspicious of Dr. Franklin, though. Something about him, the gentle way he patted her foot under the blanket, or the shadow around his eyes. When he casually suggested that Poppy's mother might want to come for a little walk down the hall, Poppy's suspicion crystallized. He's going to tell her. He's got the results, but he doesn't want me to know. Her plan was made in the same instant. She yawned and said, "Go on, Mum. I'm a little bit sleepy." And then she lay back and shut her eyes. As soon as they were gone, she got off the bed. She watched their retreating backs as they went down the hall into another doorway. Then, in her stocking feet, she quietly followed them. She was delayed for several minutes at the nursing station. "Just stretching my legs," she said to a nurse who looked inquiringly at her, and she pretended to be walking at random. When the nurse picked up a clipboard and went into one of the patients' rooms, Poppy hurried on down the corridor. The room at the end was the waiting room. She'd seen it earlier. It had a TV and a complete kitchen set up so relatives could hang out in comfort. The door was ajar, and Poppy approached it stealthily. She could hear the low rumble of Dr. Franklin's voice, but she couldn't hear what he was saying. Very cautiously, Poppy edged closer. She chanced one look around the door. She saw at once that there was no need for caution. Everyone in that room was completely occupied. Dr. Franklin was sitting on one of the couches. Beside him was an African-American woman with glasses on a chain around her neck. She was wearing the white coat of a doctor. On the other couch was Poppy's stepfather, Cliff. His normally perfect dark hair was slightly mused. His rock-steady jaw was working. He had his arm around her mother. Dr. Franklin was talking to both of them, his hand on her mother's shoulder. And Poppy's mother was sobbing. Poppy pulled back from the doorway. "Oh, my God! I've got it!" She'd never seen her mother cry before. Not when Poppy's grandmother had died. Not during the divorce from Poppy's father. Her mother's speciality was coping with things. She was the best coper Poppy had ever known. But now... "I've got it. I've definitely got it." Still, maybe it wasn't so bad. Her mum was shocked, okay, that was natural, but it didn't mean that Poppy was going to die or anything. Poppy had all of modern medicine on her side. She kept telling herself this as she edged away from the waiting room. She didn't edge fast enough, though. Before she got out of earshot, she heard her mother's voice, raised in something like anguish. "My baby! Oh, my little girl!" Poppy froze. And then Cliff, loud and angry. "You're trying to tell me there's nothing?" Poppy couldn't feel her own breathing. Against her will, she moved back to the door. "Dr. Loftus is an oncologist, an expert on this sort of cancer. She can explain better than I can," Dr. Franklin was saying. Then a new voice came, the other doctor. At first, Poppy could only catch scattered phrases that didn't seem to mean anything. Adenocarcinoma, splenic venosus occlusion, stage 3, medical jargon. Then Dr. Loftus said, "To put it simply, the problem is that the tumour has spread. It's spread to the liver and the lymph nodes around the pancreas. That means it's resectable. We can't operate." Cliff said, "But chemotherapy, We might try a combination of radiation and chemotherapy with something called 5-fluorouracil. We've had some results with that, but I won't mislead you. At best, it may improve her survival time by a few weeks. At this point, we're looking at palliative measures, ways to reduce her pain and improve the quality of the time she has left. Do you understand? Poppy could hear choking sobs from her mother, but she couldn't seem to move. She felt as if she were listening to some play on the radio, as if it had nothing to do with her. Dr. Franklin said, "There are some research protocols right here in Southern California. They're experimenting with immunotherapy and cryogenic surgery. Again, we're talking about palliation rather than a cure." Damn it! Cliff's voice was explosive. "You're talking about a little girl! How did this get to stage 3 without anybody noticing? This kid was dancing all night 2 days ago." "Mr. Hilgard, I'm sorry," Dr. Loftus said so softly that Poppy could barely pick up the words. "This kind of cancer is called a silent disease because there are very few symptoms until it's very far advanced. That's why the survival rate is so low. And I have to tell you that Poppy is only the second teenager I've seen with this kind of tumour." Dr. Franklin made an extremely acute diagnosis when he decided to send her in for testing. "I should have known," Poppy's mother said in a thick voice. "I should have made her come in sooner. I should have. There was a banging sound. Poppy looked around the door, forgetting to be inconspicuous. Her mother was hitting the formica table over and over. Cliff was trying to stop her. Poppy reeled back. "Oh, God, I've got to get out of here. I can't see this. I can't look at this." She turned and walked down the hall. Her legs moved, just like always. Amazing that they still worked. And everything around her was just like always. The nursing station was still decorated for the 4th of July. Her suitcase was still on the padded window seat in her room. The hardwood floor was still solid underneath her. Everything was the same. But how could it be? How could the walls be still standing? How could the TV be blaring in the next room? "I'm going to die," Poppy thought. Strangely enough, she didn't feel frightened. What she felt was vastly surprised, and that surprise kept coming, over and over, with every thought being interrupted by those 4 words. "It's my fault because I'm going to die. I didn't go to the doctor sooner. Cliff said, 'Damn for me, I'm going to die.' I didn't know he liked me enough to swear." Her mind was racing wildly. "Something in me," she thought. "I'm going to die because of something that's inside me, like that alien in the movie. It's in me right now. Right now." She put both hands to her stomach, then pulled up her t-shirt to stare at her abdomen. The skin was smooth, unblemished. She didn't feel any pain. "But it's in there, and I'm going to die because of it. Die soon. I wonder how soon. I didn't hear them talk about that. I need James." Poppy reached for the phone with a feeling that her hand was detached from her body. She dialed, thinking, "Please be there." This time it didn't work. The phone rang and rang. When the answering machine came on, Poppy said, "Call me at the hospital." Then she hung up and stared at the plastic pitcher of ice water by her bedside.